is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
It is time to rock and roll. Welcome aboard. Yes, sir. Hope you all are doing well out there. Hope you're feeling good. We're feeling good on a beautiful Monday. 2 days removed from the NFL draft, which is a beautiful thing. So, loving life on a Monday. We got a lot of stuff to talk about, a lot of Dolphin stuff to talk about, obviously. Some Last Dance last night. We were able to watch some of that. I think I want to watch it again today. Kick back and relax a little bit, maybe later on tonight. And it's not like there's any games on or anything like that. Although it looks like the NBA might start letting people practice, so we'll get into all of that. Appreciate all of you keeping it locked here on the program on a beautiful Monday. We got... I mean, it all depends on what kind of a mood you're in, right? For me personally, I got to tell you, I continue to feel the same way I have felt about the Dolphins over the last year. I felt like they had the right people in place. Obviously, those answers, those questions won't be answered till a couple of years from now. That's when people will be convinced completely one way or the other, right? Because with time is really the way we answer all of this, because it takes time to develop a culture. It takes time to find the talent. It takes time to find the right coaches. All of this has to kind of come together. It doesn't happen in 1 year. And, we can look back and look back at 2008. And remember, they were 1-15, and Parcells and company take over. Excuse me. Parcells and company take over, and they go 11-5, right? And I remember that I got a lot of people pissed off. Shocker. Back in the day, because I wasn't, I expected them to make the playoffs because I like Chad Pennington. I like the team, but I didn't really expect that you were building anything towards the future. Because one of the things that I told people is, Chad's an injury-prone player. He's put together with Scotch tape. And, they got lucky that he was able to stay healthy that first year, and then after he broke down right away. Hell, in a preseason game and a hit that really didn't even look that hard. And that's it. It was done. His career was over after that. And I never felt that you were building anything towards the future because I didn't feel you were building it the right way. And you weren't really committed to something for the future and long term. And I never really believed in Chad Henne either, on top of all of that. And so, it was just one of those things. Like I never had the feeling like there was serious momentum. I was happy about that year. Hell, I predicted they would make the playoffs that year. In fact, I was at that first practice that Pennington took over, and I'm standing there next to Omar, and Pennington throws a pass about 35, 40 yards downfield, down the sidelines. It hits Ted Ginn in the helmet. And I go to Omar, well, they got a quarterback at least, and I felt that they would sneak into the playoffs as a wild card. I didn't think they would win the division because obviously Brady got injured and all that stuff. So who knows? Maybe the Dolphins don't even make the playoffs if Brady is healthy, obviously. It would have been a different ball game. So, and you had the Wildcat crap and all that, which, I just didn't feel you were building on anything. You were building on gimmicks and a quarterback that really had no future with you and, things like that. And as the next season wore on, you kind of knew that, Parcells wasn't committed, all that other stuff. And it all reared its ugly head. Here, you start the foundation from scratch. And what you saw the last month here is the culmination of step 2. And what was really smart was they got a lot of guys on the offensive and defensive lines in this free agency and draft. And I know that, wow, they didn't get a receiver high in the draft, and they didn't get the running back high in the draft. And I know they got a guy in the 7th round that might be able to play both positions, but they didn't go get the sexy positions, right? They didn't even add another tight end. That if you're not, damn it, bro. I sound like freaking Bill here now. Holy crap, man. This is pissing me off now.
No, you don't sound like me because I sound normal, bro.
No, you don't. You never sound normal. You sound like crap every single time you open the mic. Anyway, so so you look at the way you're building the thing, and it made a lot of sense the way they built it. The way they're building it. And I know that it's because, see, the average fan is lazy, so they just think of sexy, and they don't really think of the interior. And because if you build the interiors the right way, you can actually have a guy that's a jag in Ryan Tannehill actually have success. You understand? That's what you do. When you've got a loaded team, a jag like Nick Foles can actually win the Super Bowl for you. And make no mistake, he's a jag. Okay? When you build the team up on offense and defense, a jag like Peyton Manning can win the Super Bowl for you. Okay? And Peyton Manning was worse than a jag when he won the Super Bowl with Denver. All right? Ryan Tannehill is 10 times better than Peyton Manning. That Peyton Manning there. That's how pathetic that Peyton Manning was. Okay? I mean, hell, Brock Osweiler went 5-1 during a stretch for them. That's how good that team was. Not just Peyton Manning, Brock Osweiler. I mean, give me a break. You know what I mean? So that's the part that some of you out there, you have to notice what they're doing or what they're trying to do, obviously, because we can't say all these picks are going to be a success and they're going to hit home runs and all of that stuff, right? That's kind of crazy. You're going to miss on some. But the philosophy behind it, just like the philosophy last year, right, was people were throwing, oh, no, you got to tank, you got to quit, you got to do it. And they had no interest in doing any of that. Okay? By the way, we did sign up for Super Chat. I don't see it. Hasn't popped up. I don't know. Anyway, I guess you have to get approved or something. Is that what it is? Anyway, so you look at it, you need to be patient. And you got to give it time to develop. Okay? And it's going to happen, but you don't change cultures overnight. You don't change a team winning and losing overnight. I told you in 2008, you thought they did it, right? From 1-15 to 11-5, you thought that, hey, things are changing, and it didn't. It was just a flukish year. A flukish first year, and it proved that you weren't anything. These guys have tore it all the way down to the bone. They built it up. Oh, wait a minute. Cookie Vice. Thank you, Cookie Vice. I guess it is working. I didn't know. I thought it was a different screen. It's the same thing. Thank you, Cookie Vice. I appreciate you supporting us. But anyway, so the thing that I love about this is they're building it the right way. Okay? All right. And thank you, Cookie, because now you confirm that it's working. I didn't know if it was working or not. I had no idea. I couldn't tell at all. It looked the same to me. So you look at all of this and look at the free. Did you notice the free agent signings? I don't know if you noticed this. They sign 4 defensive linemen and 2 offensive linemen. Did you notice that in the street free agents? 6 more guys they added to the lines. Okay? And I do have some scouting reports on some of them.
You know what that says? They're going to get this offensive defensive line figured out now, this year.
Right. I mean, when the Cowboys dominated in the 90s, what did they have, dude? You know what I mean? When your stink-ass Bears were on top of the world, constantly competitive,
5
Back in the
years,
days-
lead the league in defense, led the league in rushing.
Right.
And all 5 of those guys at some point, like the Dallas Lions, like
Right.
they all had
The
been
right
all pros.
QB, multiple championships. Right.
And all pros, all of them, every one of them.
And many times the Bears would get to the playoffs with no quarterback. You know?
Every time except for the 1 year
Yeah,
that we go all the way.
with McMahon, right, exactly. That's my point. And these guys get it, that if you don't build up the line, I mean, come on, guys. All we ever talk about is the no-name defense. Well, that's because you had people on the D-line that could play. We go back and talk about Little and Kuchenberg and all these guys, and it's because they can play. And then we talk about Richmond Webb and Keith Sims and those because they can play. The few times that they've had their share of success, you can always go back to the strength, usually was the heart and soul. The Dolphin teams under Jimmy and Wanstead, where did they win a lot of times? At the line of scrimmage, the defensive line of scrimmage. Okay? They weren't winning on the offensive line of the scrimmage that much anymore at that point, but they were great on one side of the ball. Okay? So that part, I got to tell you, it's pretty cool. Okay? I think it's pretty awesome, you know, to be able to experience it this way, because I'm so tired of watching stupidity. I'm tired of watching, you know, you hang on to Ryan Tannehill for 7 years. You play Reggie Bush at running back. You know, you just do stupid-ass things over the years that made no sense whatsoever. And it would just drive you crazy, whether it's the crazy Tannenbaum moves, overpaying for Ndamukong Suh when you're not even close to a championship. I mean, you remember some of you were telling me, oh, you got to trade for Trent Williams. I'm like, you don't trade for a guy that's 32 in July when you're rebuilding? That's stupid. You don't go give a draft pick and then you got to give him money on top of all of that. I told you, you do it if you're a Super Bowl caliber team. Well, guess who traded for him over the weekend? San Francisco 49ers, a Super Bowl caliber team. They're about the now, right freaking now. What do you think Trent Williams is? About now. He may have a year or two left in his body. And I know last year was an off year, but off years don't help you nearly as much, folks, when you're into your 30s in football. You know? Because your body's just getting older for a year. And now your older body wasn't staying sharp playing at a high level. So now you got to come back. And by the way, when you talk about San Francisco, they're going to be playing at a much higher level than Washington ever has in the last 20 years. Maybe 30. I don't know. It's been a long time for Washington. But you know what I'm saying? And so I really love the way the Dolphins went about, the philosophical way they went about this draft. Because you look at it, ladies and gentlemen, they drafted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then signed a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11th person on the D and O lines. 11 people they added to the O and D lines. Way to go, Gus. Thank you. So, you know, it's just one of those things that you got to look at it and say, okay, these guys are doing it the right way. They care about the team. You know, they care about winning. They're looking to build it the right way where it's going to sustain itself. And listen, let me tell you, they loaded so much on these guys. Now, I told you, they did this during the draft, right? The 11 guys for the O and the D line, correct? So what did they do in free agency? Okay, so I told you 11 in the draft, correct? Now let's count in free agency what they added also. This is the philosophy. So you add Eric Flowers, that's 12. Ted Karras, that's 13. Let me see who else. Okay. On the D line, I don't know if they added anybody. Oh, yeah. Agba. That's right, the ends. Agba, 13. No, 14, I'm sorry. Who else? Van Gink. Oh, no, Van Ginkel. What's it called? Kyle Van Noy, 15. What else? I know I'm missing somebody else. Shaq Lawson, 16. So it's 16 people that they added to attack on defense and on offense. That's a lot of big ass bodies and people that you need in order to put pressure. And that's the smart thing to do. You got to build it from inside and out. The weapons that you already have will be that much better. Okay? To me, a lot of this just made a ton of sense, man. Really. It just made a ton of absolute freaking sense. Thank you, Leon. So, I just want you guys to be patient with all of this because I think we're going to, what's it called? In the end, we're going to benefit from this because we're actually going to have real and responsible football, and we're going to have a team that we can actually be proud of for once in our lives. And to me, that's what matters the most because now we're going to have a team that can actually kick somebody's ass. And you're not hoping for, well, maybe we can catch them by surprise. Maybe we can run this trick play. Maybe we can do something that kind of, that keeps them off balance or something.
It ain't going to be about catching teams off guard. It's going to be coming out and punching them in the mouth.
Exactly.
And taking over and dominating.
If you watched The Last Stand yesterday, the way the Bulls felt finally when they got over the hump against Detroit is the way I am going to feel as a Dolphins fan watching the Dolphins over the next couple of years. Because I'm finally going to feel like this team is the better team. This team is the smarter team. This team is the better coach team. I mean, last year, Coach Flores already had them as one of the least penalized teams. And look at all the guys that they signed. All character guys. Guys that had leadership qualities to them, were captains on their teams, all that kind of stuff, have all kinds of incredible examples of leadership, like Tua, like Austin Jackson, things like that. What is it? Noah, I gotta learn the kid's last name, man. But he's got a lot of discipline in his family, a bunch of athletes, all that stuff. I mean, there's a lot of things to like about this draft. Were there a couple gambles? Yeah, man. Tua's a gamble. Of course Tua's a gamble because of his injury history. I get it, but he's the best quarterback in the draft. So if you hit on the best quarterback of the draft and he stays healthy, you're off and running. And for those of you, anybody that's complaining about Herbert is, please, man. Herbert wasn't the answer. I didn't want her. I would have been pissed about Herbert. With Tua, of course, I get nervous with the injury history. I've talked enough about it for months. Yeah, but I know he can play. So at least I have the hope of we're not teaching him the damn game. He doesn't have to learn pocket presence. He doesn't have to learn how to throw a touch pass. None of that crap goes on with this kid. You know what I'm saying? So we're good. We're good. Drewbo, you're amazing. Thank you for supporting us during this time. Oh, and Bill, this has been a blessing. Thank you, Drewbo. Appreciate you, man. So it's one of those deals where you have to really, really appreciate what's going on right now with the Dolphins because, man, I mean, if you followed me long enough, I killed Cam Cameron and I killed Tony Sperano and I killed Bill Parcells and I killed Jimmy Johnson at times. Even though he was kind of making the playoffs, he was still, the offense was just, he was depending too much on, he wanted to run the Dallas offense without the Dallas talent. Seriously, I mean, when Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is rushing for 15 one-yard touchdowns, it's like, come on, dude. You know, it was just, it got to a point you're taking everything away from Marino, his receivers, his running backs that can catch the ball, all that stuff. It's just nuts. Makes no sense. So to me, philosophically, I love what's going on here with the Miami Dolphins. Big time. All right, let me do a little roll call here on the program. Let me check out what we got going on this morning. It's hard to get to everybody. Greer did well overall, Big O. Only Tua pick wasn't good. That's what RC in the 305. And I get it. Look, man, RC in the 305, like a lot of people are not going to like the Tua pick because he's injury prone. I get it. It's normal to feel that way. Frank Moreno says, morning, boys. Happy we got stuff to talk about. Hell yeah. Although, hey, I think we've done a pretty good job here for, I don't know, whatever, we've been under 5-6 weeks of pretty good sports talk every single day. I think, Bill, we've done a really good job of
I'm amazed.
During a time of no sports, I think we've provided you every day some strong sports talk.
Been able to manage 3 hours at minimum.
Or
no,
4 plus sometimes.
No, well,
yeah, you said at minimum.
The last week, you've been kicking the 4 plus.
Yeah.
Let alone the doubles that we did with the draft. I'm not even counting those.
Yeah.
You've been a maniac. Truly.
It's been awesome. It's been awesome. George Arthur says, aloha, Big O. Bill, good morning, everybody.